make it up to midnight?
No, but what I did was I stayed up. I got home and I let the kids stay up until 11. So we pretended that, when the ball dropped in New York.
That's clutch.
So they blew their horns. We had party. They had their hats on, and then immediately they went to bed, and I fell asleep as well. Did you make it up?
I did make it, but I've done that same thing before with my kids when they're younger.
Yeah, they don't realize
11
it.
p.m. Central
Yeah.
Time and act like it's midnight. Yeah.
They don't realize the difference. So it was cool though. I think they enjoyed it. They think we were really celebrating the new year.
Right.
So now they'll see this and realize that I wasn't telling them the truth, and now they'll be disappointed, and I'll have to deal with that when I go home and not just talking about our run game. So, all right, let's roll. You want to go first since it's been a long day for you?
Sure. It has not been that long a day. It was a long night for you on
It
Saturday.
was long. Yeah.
I guess my question is, what the hell happened?
Well, one, it starts with me. We clearly didn't coach well enough that night. We were just a little bit out of sync. Some alignment, some technique, some scheme, and just, it got on us fast. I thought we recovered decently in the third quarter, and then it just got away from us. We didn't play well. The truth of the matter is, we've been playing against the run pretty well all year with whomever we had in, so we're not going to use who was in the game, who's hurt, who's out of the game, who's not there. We're not going to use that as an excuse because the week before against a really good running team, we played really well, so we need to get back to that. So, like I said, that starts with me. You got to coach it better. We have to play it better, and we're better than that. So we'll learn from it. I think a lot of the times you look back and you need to use moments like that, and you need to use them in a positive way. So what do I mean by that? We can't let that opportunity that we have looking back on that poor performance go to waste. We need to do something about it. And that's our mindset, and that's what we've done all year, and that's what this group's capable of. And there's a lot of guys with a lot of pride in that room who are taking shots for not being able to play the run when they know very clearly they've played the run well all year, right? And that game's not going to define how we play the run, how we've played the run all year, or how we play the run going forward. And it's as simple as that, guys. There's no magic answer to it.
Jeff, where does corner rank on the positions of being able to come in and play right away? Obviously,
Talking about Diggs. Yeah, good question. There's some that will say it's the easiest position to come in and play. If you just kind of look at it and say, tell the guy to cover a guy in man-to-man coverage and tell a guy to play 3 deep or tell a guy to play a cloud. But at the same time, there's adjustments, right? Who you're working with in man coverage. If my man motions, do I run with them? Do I bump the coverage? How do you play it here? How'd you play it in Dallas? How do you play 3 deep here? Is it a 3 deep where you're really playing more like a matchup man, or you're reading 2-to-1 and trying to match routes that way? How you handling motions? How you handling, nub side run game? Where you fitting in the run game? So to the outsiders and to some other people, it's probably the easiest one. I still think there's a level of difficulty, but saying that, it's our job to make sure that he is ready to play. So we need to spend a ton of time with him, which DA is probably doing right now, and we need to get him ready. And it's going to be like this. It's going to be like trying to pick his brain and seeing what they called things and explaining what we call things and translate that language and seeing what he's done in the past to try to piece it together for him, and then figuring out what he can do and if he can play to allow him to do those things, if that makes sense. At the same time, with the playoffs right around the corner, we got to speed him up fast because there's not going to be a lot of practice reps. But that's this league, and we've been hit with some pretty hard injuries, and that position really hit us hard losing the 2 players that we did last week. So we'll get him ready to go. I met him this afternoon right before practice. Got to see him practice, got to see him do Indy, and have not really seen him after, and I'm sure I'll see him in a little bit here.
He was really dangerous early in his career. He tore the ACL, has not had the same production since. What do you make of who he is right now, and how do you get him back to that level?
Yeah, again, this is even quicker than getting to know Micah Parsons, right? Because Micah, we at least had 4 days or 5 days to really study it and get him going. I kind of watched the film from this season. I remember watching him throughout the years. I think he had 11 interceptions the 1 year. What I remember is just elite ball skills, the ability to read and anticipate, see the quarterback, anticipate routes, jump routes. The one thing I can tell you when I saw him today, he's a lot bigger and taller than I thought. I mean, he is a tall, good-looking corner. So that's really all I got for you there. You know, it will be our job quickly to figure that out, what he can do, what coverages he's good in, pick his brain a little bit, get a feel for it, and maximize his ability within our scheme as fast as we can. And because this is on us, today's Thursday, right? I mean, so this is on us pretty quick. So we're gonna have to do a great job, and we will. DA's gonna do a great job, and if he's got to spend, you know, the next 48 hours getting ready, I know he will, because he's a great coach.
If he played offense, you could develop a package for him, you know. For
Yeah, throw him the ball,
6 plays,
tell him
right?
to run a post, tell him. It's where defense is different, because we have to react to, they come out in this formation, what's your formation check, right? 2's detached, you know, and there's some coverages where if number 2's detached, you're going to check this, right? If number 2 is tight, you're going to check this. If it's only one receiver and he's inside the numbers, we want to check this. If he's outside the numbers, we want to check that. That's all the stuff that we got to get taught, or we just simplify it and make it work. So there's a balancing act. But yeah, wide receiver, go out and run a post. Wide receiver, so Matt might tell you that playing corner is the easiest position, Rob, in the world to get guys acclimated to, and I'll tell you wide receiver is. So Matt and I will probably get in a big argument on that one, but again, he doesn't watch these, so we're good.
Would you like to get him out there to some extent just to see him in action and kind of see what he can do well and not well and what you got to work on?
Yeah, to be like completely honest with you, I would. Because again, this game's really important. So let me not like skip ahead to the playoffs, but this game is really important, right? And at the same time, with our corner numbers the way they are, we need to make sure that he's ready to go as we get going further ahead here. So I would like to, and that's why I think there's a high level of we need to get him ready to go, and I'd like to see what he can do. So I can't promise you that he is going to play or he isn't going to play. This is all really, really quick, but we're going to do everything we can, and I would like to see him play.
At this point, what do you think you have with Hopper?
Physical linebacker, really good at setting the edge, strong blitzer, good tackler, and I'm excited to find out more, so we'll see.
Can I ask a follow-up? Do you think the physical part jumps out? That's what's always jumped out about him. Mm-hmm. Can he help your run defense right now if you're in a pinch or having problems? You haven't turned to him yet. Is that something that you could do or you might do?
Yeah, I do. I do think he can help. I do, and I think we'll see in these next few weeks if we can get him going a little bit more. But I think that's a fair question, and I do think he can help that. Yes.
Jeff, you said it's an important game. It is a different type of game too, and look, you guys are paid to win football games. This isn't youth sports or something. But you do have a lot of guys who are going to get opportunities here that you maybe don't know a lot about, or maybe haven't had a lot of opportunities before. As a coach, is that kind of exciting to get, Jalen and Shamar and these guys to have a chance to just show what they can do, and maybe you can find out more about them?
Yeah, it is really exciting. Bless you. And it's been fun in practice, to be honest with you, because there's a level of excitement with these guys, because some of them do know they're about to get an opportunity of a lifetime, right? Some guys who might have been on the practice squad a week ago, and they're now finding out that they're going to get a chance to go against Justin Jefferson and Addison and a really good football team. I mean, I think, that's the beautiful part of this league. Sometimes it only takes one opportunity and it could change your life, right? And that's pretty cool. Like, if you really want to think about it that way, and some of these guys are, they're holding that pen in their hand and they're finally getting a chance to write their own story. So I am very, very excited to see that. So yeah. To answer your question fairly, for sure, we want to win every game. That's the expectation, regardless of who's in. But what a cool story it's going to be for some of these guys who a week ago at this time thought they were going to be on practice squad, and now they have the opportunity to go play in a real NFL game, make a name for themselves. And the one thing that I will say is, it's easy in this league to get up and down and kind of ride this roller coaster, right? When we're really high and we got everyone and we're all clicking on all cylinders and everybody. But the cool part about this group is it's kind of been like I've said to you guys, I'm not going to come in here and change how I talk to you or how I answer questions or how I am. I think that's what leadership is, and I think that's important. And what we're starting to see is that rub off on the guys, because the cool part, and to follow up and answer your question, there's some of the older guys right now that you should see them coaching some of these other guys, and it's really cool to see. Like, really cool to see the extra time, the notes they're helping them with, watching film, they're talking to them on the field, telling them do this, telling them do that. It's kind of like I'm stepping back and listening to myself coach some of these older guys, but now they're doing it. And I think that's special, and I think that's really cool, and it shows kind of what we have going on, and hopefully that will help us going forward, because in a developmental league that we are still in, this would be really cool if out of this we find out that we have more, you know?
A couple of the guys were calling Oliver Baby Micah.
Oh, geez.
I don't expect him to be Micah Parsons on Sunday. What's a reasonable expectation for him?
That's hey, that's pretty cool then. They're pretty impressed with one of their teammates, and that's high praise. Colin's a neat story. We loved his tape coming out. I just remember watching his pass rush ability, the way he could run, the way he could bend. He was kind of a guy that played linebacker, kind of guy that was a pass rush guy, and we thought when we got him, we could use him as a DPR, we could use him as an outside backer, and he really gave us a really cool piece to the defense for the run game and the pass rush. And then unfortunately he got injured, and he's been battling through that. But he's a guy that just stayed locked in when he was going through rehab, sitting in the meetings, and now all of a sudden there's a good chance he'll have an opportunity here, and he's ready for it. And he's earned the respect of his teammates, which is even cooler, right? Kind of like what I was just saying, for them to, one, compliment him like that. But what you see is a guy who, kind of like Baron Sorrell, is just so locked in, so detailed, it's so important to him. And again, I would not be surprised if he did go out and have the opportunity that he played well. I know he's going to have his teammate support behind him just because of what he's had to work through, and hopefully he'll come out on top of this.
Who do you think their quarterback's going to be?
Who do I think it's going to be? I don't know if what I think matters, to be honest with you. If you want me just to kind of take a guess, sure. I would say it would be JJ. I mean, he was a full participant, so I'd imagine that it will be him. You know, I just kind of read it in between the lines there. Who do you think it's going to be?
Yes, too.
Do you have any intel on that for me?
I don't. So do you have two game plans, or?
No. Truthfully, that's what I was kind of anticipating for some reason early in the week. So that's kind of what my gut's been telling me, and we've kind of been going from there. We got a chance to see him play live against us last week. Now, I will say, I thought he played really well after our game, and I think he's taken a big step and he's gotten better. You can see the confidence. You can see him moving around. You can see him sitting in the pocket and making some really good throws. Again, he's a young player who's gotten more experience, and he's going to have his ups and downs, but I think he's gotten better. I think Kevin's one of the best play callers in this game. They have some really good weapons at wideout, a great tight end, and obviously the running back. So it will be a challenge, but I would expect him to play in the game.
What stands out to you about with Jonathan Ford? You know, and obviously a little bit of experience with him last year, but now getting him back.
Yeah.
Potentially.
He's huge. I mean, you saw him, right? I mean, he's a big man, and he was a guy that was kind of one of the fan favorites around here. You know, he's got a really good personality. He works really hard. He brings great energy. Like, you could tell when he walked back in, the guys were happy to see him again, right? Because they respect him. They respect his effort when he was here. And then obviously he went to Chicago. He played in some games, and now with Jordan being out, we had a chance to bring him back. I think Jordan Riley's also another one of those really cool stories. I mean, kind of like you can add that to what we were just talking about. With all the injuries that we've had up front at that position, we take a guy off a practice squad, and all of a sudden he's playing like 25 to 30 reps for us. And Jordan was playing really well, really well. So hopefully he'll have a good recovery and he'll be back. But another cool story, a guy got an opportunity and he made the most of it. And now Ford is probably going to have a chance to do the same. And then we're going to count on him to go in there and play well down the stretch here.
You've mentioned wanting to get, obviously, Bullard, Evan on the field as much as possible. When there's stretches in games where they're running and maybe you're in more of a base defense, is that a challenge to try to do on the fly to try to get Javon out there, or do you just kind of have to, that's what they're doing?
No, it's a challenge for sure, because, I mean, you can always kind of mix and match, but when teams are getting big and you got more linebackers on the field than a nickel on the field, and they're going to stick in a certain personnel for 50-plus snaps, we can do a better job of rolling them through and keeping them fresh and playing both of them. Certainly you want them on the field, but you want Coop on the field too. So it's just, you got to kind of pick and choose. And there's some games where, those guys will play more. But he is. He's a guy that it is hard to take off the field.
On JJ's ability to get these tackles for loss, is he creating that? Are you trusting him to send him back there? His improvement in that?
Well, I think JJ's had a really solid year. Just the way he's getting off the ball, the way he's reading blocks, the way he's tearing off of blocks and just refusing to stay blocked. And then there's some things that are built in for him based on, what kind of set he's getting in front of him to kind of take shots and go underneath, and because he's good at it, and when he does take it, he makes it, so that's okay. It's the problem when a guy takes it and he doesn't make it, then you're in really bad shape. Then you're looking behind you and you're getting ready for your field goal block team to go out there. But JJ's done a really good job with that. Probably playing the best football that he's played since he's been here. He's emerged as a leader on the defense, and I think he's another guy that everyone has a tremendous amount of respect for right now, and we're going to need him. We're going to need all those guys up front right now. I mean, some of the young guys that haven't played a lot are going to have to step up, and we're going to count on a lot of those guys here on this run we're about to go on.
Jeff, what do you lose with Hobbs and Haddon in the run game, especially? And how do you get Valentine to tackle better than?
Sure. Fair question. Really upsetting about Nate, because if you go back to the Bears game and you look back at how physical he was, and he was finally getting healthy, and we're using him in those roles, and he gives you a big physical corner who can also go inside and cover. I mean, that's just, it's one of those things that's sad. I mean, he worked all the way back, and he's a big, strong guy, and then he went down again. And then Kamal was, going to get his chance there, and, I mean, physical play, which is what, and just, really upsetting there. Just to lose those two guys that quickly, you lose physical guys. And with CV, we got to keep coaching him, and he's got to work at it hard. We got to put him in positions in practice as much as we can, and that gets hard at this part of the year because you're not in pads very much. You're not doing a lot of tackling as much, but we need to keep working with him. And that's our job as coaches. We have to find some things, guys, that need to do better, and we need to find ways to make it better. So we need it from him, and we need it from us, and we got to all do it together. But we got to tackle better for sure there.
Jeff, you got real quick.
Yeah, he came.
Sorry.
Just because. Go ahead.
Well, I did ask the run game question, so I'm going to ask another touchy-feely one.
Good or bad?
No, good. Okay. It looks like Bo's going to get to play and maybe play both ways for a guy that means as much as he does to your culture and your locker room. Are you excited to see what he can do on defense finally in a game?
Yeah, if Bo does get the chance to play defense, I'll be all fired up. Whether or not that happens or he just plays offense, I still think that's something that needs to be figured out based on how many corners we have, how many wideouts we have as we work through it. Bo's the guy, which is the cool part about our team. They've done such a good job here of bringing in really good people. Matt's done such a good job with the culture that he's created of really good people to keep this thing so strong. Where all of a sudden he's been practicing at DB and he goes and has some huge catches in the season, right? And they trust him to go out there, and you see the excitement of the team when he does score. It's just a cool thing. And, I would say this, if Bo has to go out, he does play defense in this game, I'd bet on him, because what I do know he's going to do, he's going to go out and compete, and he is going to tackle, and he's going to be physical. And if he's got to cover, one of the best in the game in Justin Jefferson, he's not going to back down. And that's why you love a guy like Bo. It's the makeup. And, you just root for guys like that.